Hi and welcome back. So in part 2 of Let's Build a Cross-Platform Application, I would like to set up the Angular client application using the Angular CLI. I decided to go for Angular CLI because I think that's the direction most of you guys will head to, because the team is working really hard on increasing the functionalities that the Angular CLI is offering to you as a developer, and especially for those of you who are new to Angular 2. So first of all, we are right here in our project directory, and you see the API folder. So that's actually the API that we've created throughout the past video. If you haven't seen the other videos, you can find them over here in my channel. So what do you need on your system? Well, first you need to install Angular CLI, of course, and you should install it globally. I've already installed it, so I skipped that point, and Angular CLI is offering a bunch of comments, right? I would like to use only a few of them, like creating the new project and running it. All those other generators, they don't fit in the way I prefer to structure Angular projects, because they work for, in my opinion, they work for those hello world and to-do list samples. But as soon as your app gets a little bit more complicated, you have to start and rearrange everything, and so those generators won't be very beneficial to you as a developer. Okay, so let's get started. Let's create a new folder where all our app stuff goes into, and Angular CLI is exposing that ng executable, and if you execute it without any further argument, you will see that after a short while it will print out all the possible statements that you could execute. And there is a init command which we will use. It's also available as a new command, I think. The difference between new and init is that new is also generating the sources to another directory, and we want to generate or init the project right here. So let's start with ng init and give a name, provide a name for our app, and let's call it my notes. And there is for example, Git is also offering an argument called dry run. So you could get a feeling, or you could actually see what the tool will generate if you execute the command without specifying the dry run argument. That's just to see upfront what's happening. So let's generate this one, and this will also take a while. So ng is going to create all those files when it's actually finished, and then it's pulling down all the dependencies by using npm. Okay, so after a while, npm has downloaded all the packages that we need for our application. So we should now be able to just say let's review what has been generated to the package JSON as scripts, and there should be an npm start, right? Which is just linking to ng serve, but npm start is a more common command that's easier to remember than using those ng commands. Okay, Angular CLI is using webpack to build the Angular application together with all those dependencies required for running the app in the browser. Oh, it's not automatically starting the browser, so let's click the link and Boom, here we go. So our app is working, the Angular 2 setup is done, but we don't want to stick with the setup the team has been generated for us, because as I said a few minutes ago, this project structure is pretty good for getting started, for building a hello world, a demo application, something like that. But if you want to make it serious, you have to rearrange the things a bit. So let me do some basic changes to the project structure and rearrange the things a bit. So first of all, what you may recognize, I created an app folder. In that app folder is again a source folder and again an app folder, so that's weird, right? So first of all, let's rename our app folder to client. And in our app folder, let's go to the source folder, which we will keep, and let's move the app to my notes. So I always tend to provide the real name of the application instead of providing app as a folder name. But that's a personal preference. So you could name it whatever you want to, but there are some places where you have to rearrange the things. Okay, so there's a shared folder right now. So let's have a look what's inside of the shared folder. Well, there's an index, so we don't need that. Instead of having one shared folder where you put all your services and stuff inside of that folder, what I prefer is having a folder services, which may be separated in additional subfolders depending on how many services your app actually is being built, or how many services your app actually has. Then next one, of course, components. Then something called modules, configs, and let's go with routes. Okay, so I think right now it should look a little bit better. So let's rearrange those things. Let's move our app component over there. Let's move our app module in the modules folder. And the index, what's that actually doing? It's exporting things, so let's delete that. And let's change the naming. So our app component is not located in the same directory. It's new folder. So the most outer component, I prefer to name it root instead of app. And there is an empty CSS, so we don't need that one. Let's get rid of that. I won't cover unit tests right now, so let's get rid of the spec file for now. And the app component, let's move it over there. Let's move it over there, and let's rename it. For components, I prefer naming them just like the folder. In this case, it would be root, and it's root ts for the TypeScript file. So we are fine. The module should still have its suffix. So let's rename the root component to my node, to be my dash nodes. The template URL is, so we don't have styles, get rid of that one. And the template URL will be root. And that's not the app component, that's the root component. Hit save. go to our app module and say we are importing the root component from /components -root. Okay. Let's finish all those changes. Okay. And let's go to our main TS. So the main TS is actually the file that's responsible for bootstrapping the Angular app. So instead of loading the app module from just the file called index in the app folder, we are loading it from my nodes /modules/app.module. So there should be only one thing that we have to change. That's this one. We don't have any app root directive. We have changed it to be my-nodes. So let's say my-nodes. And hit npm start. Okay, so webpack has finished. Let's open up the test URL again and loading my nodes. Boom, there it is. Let's give it a try to make some changes on the fly and see how webpack will recompile and inject the changes without any further assistance. App updated, recompiling, and here we are. Unfortunately, the performance of my system is a little bit bad because, you know, recording all the stuff in full HD and everything is draining the power a bit. So that should be really snappy on your machine or on this machine if I don't do any kind of screencast recording. Okay, so let's add those changes to our Git repository. These are the files that will go to source control, so let's stage them, and let's say git commit -m bootstrapped client using Angular CLI. Okay, so let's push that to GitHub. And what's next? So next on the schedule is taking care about building the Cordova and the Electron apps before implementing features. So I'm not 100% sure if I go with Electron or Cordova in the next video, but you should definitely check all the videos from that channel and subscribe my channel to get instantly notified as soon as I publish the next video. Thank you for watching, and as I've said in the other videos, if you want to participate, check out the Git URL that's listed down below in the description, and yeah, start coding.